What exactly is the ego? Why does it cling to suffering? Why does it sabotage our peace, distort our desires, and trap us in endless cycles of dissatisfaction? Most people never ask these questions. Yet the ego influences every thought we believe, every fear we feel, and every disappointment we carry. It's the silent narrator of our lives, the voice we mistake for our own. The ancient thinkers, psychologists, mystics, and spiritual teachers all pointed to the same truth. The ego is not who you are. It's who you think you are. A mask, a story, a fragile identity dressed as permanence, desperately trying to prove its own existence. As the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And the ego is the master dyer, coloring our perception of reality with fear and lack. Imagine the ego as an invisible director, writing the script of your life from behind a curtain. This director is obsessed with control, fear, drama, and validation. It's the whisper in your mind that says, you are your achievements. You are what people think of you. You must fight to survive. You must compete, win, dominate. But that voice is not you. It's a psychological defense mechanism, a structure built from fear, memory, trauma, social conditioning, and unmet needs. You see, you were not born with an ego. It was programmed into you. Every criticism you heard as a child, every time you were praised for being good, every fear that was passed down, every expectation that was placed upon your shoulders, every moment you felt unsafe, unloved, or unseen. The ego began as a survival strategy, a shield to protect a vulnerable child. But over time, that strategy turned into a dictator. Here is the difficult truth. The ego depends on suffering for its survival. If you were deeply peaceful, deeply present, deeply connected to yourself, you simply wouldn't need it. You wouldn't cling to its illusions of control. You wouldn't worship its stories. You wouldn't obey its fears. Peace is the ego's kryptonite. So, the ego manufactures pain to keep itself relevant. It tells you you're not enough, no matter how much you accomplish. It creates crushing anxiety about a future that hasn't happened yet. It forces you to replay past mistakes and grievances endlessly, like a broken record. It invents imaginary threats and worst-case scenarios, and most cunningly, it attaches your sense of worth to external approval, trapping you on a treadmill of seeking validation from others. The ego thrives in the gap between what is and what should be. It's the voice that says, life would be perfect if only, and it ensures that gap stays open forever. Because in that space of dissatisfaction, the ego finds its purpose. This is why happiness always seems so close, yet always slips away. You finally achieve something you've been chasing for years. New job, a relationship, a personal goal, and for a moment there is pure joy, a feeling of arrival. But just as quickly it fades. An emptiness returns, a restlessness resurfaces, and the ego whispers, this isn't it. You must want more. You must do more. You must prove more. And so the chase begins again, never ending. The ego does not want you to arrive, because true arrival, true presence in the now, means its death. It wants you to live forever in the land of almost there, because that's where it remains in charge. One of the ego's most powerful illusions is the illusion of separation. It convinces you that you are a separate, isolated, self-disconnected from others, from nature, from the world. It's the part of you that says, you must protect yourself. You must defend your identity. You must fight for your place. This feeling of being a small me against a big, hostile world is the source of immense conflict and fear. But this separation is an illusion. Consider indigenous tribes in Africa who live surrounded by predators like lions, hyenas, and leopards. They survive not through constant fear and aggression, but through deep understanding, intuition, and respect for the natural world. Their ego is not hyperinflated like ours. It doesn't create constant paranoia. They coexist with nature because they see themselves as part of it, not apart from it. Modern humans, however, live surrounded not by predators, but by ideas. Ideas about success, failure, status, and worth. And in this environment, the ego has become the greatest predator of all, devouring our peace from the inside out. Mystics and spiritual teachers often described the ego as a structure that literally feeds on negative energy. Think about it. The ego grows stronger through fear, resentment, anxiety, anger, guilt, comparison, and self. Every painful thought you entertain is like fuel for its fire. This is why the ego loves to keep replaying old emotional wounds. It relishes the drama. It grows from the chaos. Modern science confirms this ancient wisdom. Studies show that up to 80% of human suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from our interpretation of those events. And the ego is the master of painful interpretation. It takes a neutral event and weaves a story of personal failure, injustice, or threat around it. So what happens when you finally realize this? What happens when a thought arises and you see it for what it is, not a command, but just a thought? What happens when you realize, I am not my ego. I am not its stories. In that moment, a crack appears in the armor. A doorway opens. You begin to sense something else behind the masculine, true nature. Not the voice filled with fear, but the silent awareness observing that voice. Not the story of who you are, but the formless being behind the story. This is the beginning of liberation. This is the first step out of the illusion and into the vast, peaceful reality of who you truly are. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing to explore this journey further. Have you ever noticed how your mind can turn a tiny, neutral event into a full-blown drama? One moment, you're just a few minutes late for a meeting. The next, you're convinced everyone thinks you're irresponsible and unprofessional. That's not just your mind playing tricks on you. That's the ego at work. The ego doesn't just create suffering. It creates an entirely different version of reality. A distorted reality layered with fear, drama, and mistaken meaning. To break free from its grip, we first need to understand its machinery, its tools of deception. Let's start with the ego's primary role, the storyteller of illusion. Life constantly presents us with neutral, objective events. Things just happen. But the ego can't stand neutrality. It must instantly weave these events into a dramatic narrative, usually starring you as either the victim or the villain. Think about it. The event is, you arrived late. The ego's story is, everyone thinks I'm irresponsible. I've failed. But the simple truth is, you were just late. That's it. Or consider this. Someone offers you some feedback, a critique of your work. The ego's story immediately jumps to, I'm not good enough. They think I'm incompetent. But the truth is, it was just feedback information, not a personal judgment on your entire worth. A plan fails. The ego screams, my life is collapsing. Nothing ever works out for me. The truth, a single plan failed. The ego refuses to accept reality as it is. It has to interpret it, and it almost always chooses the most painful, self-sabotaging interpretation possible. It's a master of turning facts into painful fiction. To spin these tales, the ego uses a set of powerful weapons. Modern psychology calls them cognitive distortions, but mystics and spiritual teachers have been pointing them out for centuries. These are the tools the ego uses to bend reality. First, there's catastrophizing. This is the ego's specialty, turning a small, manageable issue into an absolute disaster. Your car makes a weird noise, and suddenly you're imagining it exploding on the highway, leaving you stranded and broke. Then there's matriding. This is the assumption that you know exactly what others are thinking, and it's always something negative about you. You walk past a group of whispering colleagues, and your ego instantly concludes, they're talking about me. They hate my new idea. Another favorite is overgeneralization. You make one mistake on a project, and the ego's verdict is, I always fail. I'm a complete failure at everything I do. It takes a single instance and paints your entire life with that brush. Don't forget personalization, which is the tendency to blame yourself for everything that goes wrong, even things completely out of your control. The picnic gets rained out, and your ego whispers, it's my fault. I jinxed it by being too excited. And finally, there's emotional reasoning. I feel anxious, so something must be terribly wrong. Or, I feel guilty, so I must have done something bad. Your feelings are treated as facts about reality. These distortions aren't just bad habits. They are the bars of a mental prison. You stop seeing life as it is and start seeing only your ego's twisted interpretation of it. Now, let's talk about emotions. Emotions are, in their purest form, simply energy in motion. They are neutral, temporary signals designed to move through your body quickly, give you information, and then dissipate. But the ego doesn't let them be. It hijacks them and weaponizes them. A flash of fear, which is a natural survival signal, is twisted into the story. I am weak and incapable. A surge of anger. which might be a signal that a boundary has been crossed, becomes a personal narrative. They disrespected me. They are attacking me. A wave of sadness, which could be a healthy response to loss, is transformed into a core belief. I am fundamentally not enough. I am unlovable. The original emotion was never the problem. The story the ego attaches to it is the problem. Scientific studies have shown that the purely physiological lifespan of an emotion, that rush of chemicals in your body, lasts only about 90 seconds. So why do we feel angry or sad for hours, days, or even weeks? Because the mind, under the ego's direction, keeps re-triggering it. It keeps feeding the emotion with stories, memories, and future worries. The ego replays the tape again and again, turning a brief signal into a destructive emotional storm. This leads us to one of the ego's most powerful mechanisms, its addiction to drama. Why would anyone be addicted to chaos and negativity? Because chaos keeps you distracted. It consumes your attention and keeps you in a state of constant reaction. When you are reacting, you are not conscious. You are on autopilot, controlled by the drama. A conscious, aware mind is the ego's greatest threat. So, the ego inflates everything to maintain its control. Small disagreements become epic wars. Minor criticisms are perceived as deep betrayals. A simple mistake is blown up into a full-blown identity crisis. It's like the ego has a magnifying glass, and it holds it over every minor imperfection and conflict in your life until it looks monstrous. Drama gives the ego life a sense of purpose and importance. Your quiet, centered awareness, on the other hand, starves it. When you step back and observe the drama without getting pulled in, the ego loses its power. Drama is how it desperately tries to get that power back. It needs you hooked on the story, on the emotional roller coaster, to survive. So, why does the ego go to such great lengths to create these illusions, distortions, and dramas? What is it so afraid of? The answer is simple: the present moment. The ego is terrified of the present because the present dissolves it. Think about it. Right here, right now, in this very second. What is there to worry about? In the pure awareness of the now, there is no past to regret. All those old scenes the ego loves to replay are just memories. They aren't happening now. In the now, there is no future to fear. All those catastrophic scenarios are just projections. They aren't happening now. In the present moment, there is no identity to defend, no story to maintain, no role to play. There is just being. And in that state of pure being, the ego becomes completely useless. It has no job. This is why it works tirelessly to pull you out of the present. It drags you into the past with a constant stream of regrets and what-ifs, forcing you to relive old pains. And it shoves you into the future with an endless parade of anxieties and worries, making you live in fear of what might go wrong. Your mind becomes a time machine you never asked for, constantly oscillating between a dead past and an imaginary future. This isn't just spiritual wisdom. Neuroscience is catching up and confirming what mystics have said for ages. When your mind is stuck ruminating on the past or worrying about the future, a specific brain network called the default mode network, or DMN, becomes highly active. This network is strongly associated with states of anxiety, depression, and a wandering, unhappy mind. It's the neurological home of the ego's storytelling. But what happens when you bring your attention back to the present moment? When you focus on your breath, the sensations in your body, or the sounds around you, the default mode network quiets down. The brain shifts into a different mode of processing, one of direct sensory experience. And in that quiet space, peace returns. The ancient sages and mystics always taught this profound truth. The present moment is the only place where the ego dies. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They were describing a deep, verifiable reality of human consciousness. The path to freedom from the ego's tyranny, isn't about fighting it or destroying it. It's about simply, gently, and repeatedly returning your awareness to the only time that is ever real, right now. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more insights into consciousness and personal growth. See you in the next video. Have you ever reached a point where you just thought, I can't keep living like this, stuck inside my own head, listening to the same old stories? That moment, that single realization, is the spark. It's the beginning of your freedom. The first step isn't to declare war on your ego. You can't defeat it by fighting it. That's just the ego fighting itself. The real magic happens when you simply start to see it for what it is. Every time you catch yourself in a mental loop and ask, wait, is this a fact? Or is this just a story I'm telling myself? Or is this a pure emotion? Or is it my interpretation of an event? Or even, is this real? Or is this my ego's drama? In that moment of questioning, the ego loses its grip. Awareness is its kryptonite. The more you observe it without judgment, the more it shrinks. So, how do you build that awareness? You return to the present moment. Presence is the ultimate antidote to the ego's constant chatter about the past and future. It's incredibly simple, yet profoundly powerful. Right now, just ask yourself, what do I see? Look around you. Notice the colors, the shapes, the light. Then ask, what do I hear? Listen to the sounds nearby and far away, without labeling them as good or bad. Finally, ask, what do I feel in my body right now? Notice the sensation of your feet on the floor, the air on your skin, the rhythm of your breath. These simple questions pull your attention out of the chaotic world of mental stories and ground you in sensory reality. And in that shift, the ego dissolves. Presence connects you directly with life, unfiltered by the ego's biased commentary. This practice is especially powerful when strong emotions arise. When you feel a wave of anger, sadness, or anxiety, your first instinct might be to analyze it, to find a reason, to blame someone, or to judge yourself for feeling it. But what if you tried something different? Instead of creating a story around the emotion, just feel it. Ask yourself, what is actually happening in my body? Where is the tension? Is it a tightness in your chest, a heat in your face, a knot in your stomach? When you remove the story, the he said, she said, the I shouldn't feel this way, that this always happens to me, you're left with pure sensation. And an emotion without a story to feed on fades away surprisingly quickly, like a flame without fuel. This is the path to emotional freedom. As you get better at observing your ego, you'll realize you don't have to live by its script. You are the writer, and you can create a new inner narrative. The ego loves to whisper things like, I'm not good enough. You can consciously replace that with, I am learning and growing. When it says, everyone is against me, you can counter with, I don't have the full picture yet. Instead of the exhausting belief, I must constantly prove my worth, you can rest in the truth. I have inherent worth just by being. These aren't just empty affirmations. They are new neural pathways. By consciously choosing these new thoughts, you begin to create a new reality for yourself. The goal isn't to completely destroy the ego. That would be like trying to drive a car without a steering wheel. You need your ego to navigate the world, to set goals, to have a sense of self. The key is to make it your servant, not your master. A trained, integrated ego is an incredible ally. It helps you set healthy boundaries, organize your daily life, and channel your energy toward growth, all while respecting your need for inner peace. An untrained ego, on the other hand, runs rampant. It ruins relationships with its insecurities, destroys your confidence with its harsh criticism, creates constant fear, sabotages your success, and keeps you trapped in an emotional prison. Mastery isn't ego death, it's ego integration. It's putting the true you back in the driver's seat. This brings us to the final, most profound liberation. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your deepest fears. You are not your failures or your successes. You are not your ego. You are the silent, spacious awareness that sees all of this. You are the vast, clear sky in which the clouds of thought appear and disappear. You are the deep, calm ocean beneath the turbulent waves of emotion. You are the stillness behind all the noise. Once you experience this truth, even for a fleeting moment, your life is never the same. You stop fighting with yourself. You stop chasing illusions of happiness outside of you. You stop living in the shadow of fear. You become present. You become awake. You become free. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. See you in the next video. If you're still here, still watching my videos, I just want to say something simple. Thank you. In this world of endless noise and constant distractions, the fact that you choose to spend your time here with me means more than you can possibly imagine. It means you're one of those rare people who wants to go deeper, who wants to question things, and who looks for answers inside yourself, not just on the surface. I am honestly so happy that there are people like you who share these interests, these questions, and this search for meaning. So, if you feel like this space resonates with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and maybe share this video with someone you know who might need it. Your support helps this content reach more people who are also quietly searching. Thank you for being here, really.